so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I think this is season 13, episode 11. I think so. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So it is my birthday, and I feel like sitting on the floor doing this review. My birthday is January the 12th. This video might come out on like the 13th or the 14th. I don't know. I just feel like being lazy today. So let's get into it. So before we get into it, we gonna get a little spicy, and it's kind of like a mini rant. Kyle did an Amazon Live, and that's what I want to talk about. I'm not gonna play the Amazon Live because I don't know how Amazon Live, how, you know, copyright and all of that stuff. It's kind of tricky. Like certain times you can post a clip and nothing happens. Other times you can just play the audio or something and they flag in a video and telling you to tweak this or do that. And I don't feel like doing that. I told y'all, lazy kind of day. But Kyle did an Amazon Live, and I think one of the questions was, how do you feel about Morgan? Or why did you say you feel bad that you thrusted Morgan into this spotlight or whatnot? And Kyle was saying how she feels bad that Morgan is in the spotlight. And I feel like that's a weird thing to say. Morgan is not a child. She's 29 years old. She knows who Kyle Richards is. She is reaping the benefits of being with Kyle Richards, whose sister is Kim Richards and Kathy Hilton. She's a part of reality TV royalty. She knows who Kyle Richards is. And the other thing about Kyle and Morgan, at first I didn't feel like there might have been a relationship between them. Because, you know, a lot of people was like, not Kyle soft launching her girlfriend. Like some people was like, maybe Kyle and Morgan are together. And I'm like, I don't think so. You know, like I told you in my last video, I was like, maybe Morgan reminds her or has traits of her friend that unfortunately passed away. And I was like, yeah, maybe that's who, like, maybe that's. But after watching this episode, I was like, I don't know. I don't know, you know? But I think what bothers me is, like, does Kyle have to tell us if Morgan and her are dating? No, she really doesn't. That's that lady life. It's whatever. But I don't like someone trying to chastise me for having questions when you purposely doing things in my face. Kind of like what Sutton and Garcelle are saying. You are not wearing your wedding ring. You constantly got Morgan around all the time. Y'all made that music video where y'all pretty much was like in a relationship and y'all teased it like I was about to kiss. So you're trolling us. So it's like, of course we're going to have questions. Then on top of that, you're tattooing the lady. You kind of wearing the same clothes as her. It's giving soft launch of a girlfriend. And that's okay, but don't play in my face and try to chastise me and act like me having questions and questioning you is a bad thing. Don't play in my face then. And anytime you ask Kyle, she'll be like, oh, yeah, we're friends. But she does it in a way where it's like cheeky. And I'm like, girl, if that girl is your friend, just be like, nah, there's nothing sexual going on between us. No, this is someone I met because I don't no longer drink. Morgan no longer drinks. We are friends. And that is what it is and what it will always be. And move on. I don't know. I just feel like I don't like when people play in my face. All right, y'all. So the episode opens up and they are going on a day trip to Ojai. I don't know where that is in California, but I watched Nikki Star TV's video. She did one recently, and I'll put it on the screen. And, you know, she is bi-coastal. She goes from coast to coast. And she was explaining how Ojai is only like an hour away from where I guess the ladies live on this show. But because of how horrible traffic is, it's 3 hours away. I said, girl, I would not go on that trip. I would be sick like Erica. Like Erica, we ended up finding out Erica's not going on the trip because she unfortunately has the Rona. But I promise you, if I was Erica, even if I wasn't like legit sick, I would not go on no trip. Like, girl, to tell me that a trip is only supposed to be an hour, like a place is only an hour away, but because traffic is so crazy, it takes 3 hours to get there and possibly 3 hours to get back, I'd be like, I'm not going. I'm not going. So everybody gets there that's going. We have them on the Sprinter. They're going to Ojai for Annemarie's birthday. And while they're on the Sprinter, Annemarie in her confessional was talking about, you know, me and Sutton started off rough, but I think we're going to get on a good foot or something like that. And I'm like, Annemarie, y'all started off rough because you were interrogating the lady like you were her doctor, trying to figure out why her esophagus is small. Now, I didn't have an issue with Annemarie pressing the issue the first time about her what's it called? About Sutton's small esophagus. But at this point, you doing too much. You doing too much. And like I said on Twitter, girl, don't lose your real job for this reality TV check that you don't have, that's not solidified, that you're not one of the girls that's been in this game for like 3 or 4 years. Like, you're not on Married to Medicine, sis. Like, you're on Housewives and you're a newbie at that. Shut up at this point, because Annemarie is doing too much. And y'all know Dr. Nicole be getting on my nerves on Real Housewives of Miami. But the fact that Annemarie tried to check Dr. Nicole and call her a clout chaser, Annemarie did like a interview, I want to say like two weeks ago, where she was asked about Dr. Nicole's comments about Annemarie, because people were asking Nicole about it because she's an anesthesiologist. And she was like, I listened to Nicole's video, and honestly, Nicole was very professional in the way that she responded to people asking her about Annemarie and what she thought about what Annemarie said. It was a very professional, and not even like, she wasn't even attacking Annemarie response. But Annemarie is calling the lady a clout chaser. But I'm like, well, Annemarie, why are you not mentioning Dr. Tiffany Moon from Real Housewives of Dallas? Because Tiffany's response to Annemarie was a lot more, it was harsh. It was a harsh response, because Dr. Tiffany is also an anesthesiologist. So I'm just kind of looking at her like, girl, you're not making sense. And it's like, you're giving clout chaser because you're only addressing Nicole. And I feel like the only reason you dress Nicole is because Nicole is on Miami, and Miami is still currently running. Dallas is not. So I feel like you didn't want to address her because of that. It was weird. I was like, girl, shut up. So they're on the sprinter, and they're talking. Sutton lets them know that guy that she went out with, who was actually very handsome. And I'm glad Sutton got a second date. The guy likes karaoke. They've been texting. I was really happy for her. Out of all of the guys that she's dated on, like, we seen her go on dates with, even the guy that we saw her with, like, I think a season ago, this guy seems to be more her speed, and he's handsome, and he seems actually interested in her. So I love that for her. Hopefully they still talking and they good to go. And Sutton was like, he got a job, and everyone's like, that's a good thing. But I like him. I really like him for her. So who's next? Dang, it is raining hard as hell. They did say it was a tornado advisory where I'm at. But let me finish this video. So we then have, they're on the sprinter. Oh, they finally get to Ojai. And the group breaks into two. You have Sutton, Dorit, and Crystal going to like some oil, like I guess this imported oil place. And what was so funny was Dorit was speaking to the lady in Italian, and I think either Crystal or Sutton was like, poor lady gonna be there with her for 7 hours. I cackled. Because even in Italian, I could tell Dorit probably be talking around in circles, just in circles, or flying around the airport, just circling the airport and not landing the point. But it was nice to hear her speak in Italian. So we then see Kyle, it's Kyle Garcelle and Annemarie go shopping, and they're having a good time. And I was like, this is what I want to see. What is so sad is that these ladies are in the same state. They didn't have to leave the state. They did not leave like Potomac. Potomac had to leave. They had to leave their states because they all don't live in the DMV area to get to Texas just to have a crappy time. They're still in California and enjoying themselves, spending money. Have you noticed on Potomac, we did not see them spend no money? No money whatsoever. They went to chicken, you know what, bingo, which, because chicken stinks so bad. Y'all, chicken smells so horrible. Chicken excrement smells horrible. They went to a drag show and they went paddleboarding and canoeing. Like, they did all of that in another state. They did what they did, they could have did in the same state. Y'all left y'all states just to be lame. And they're in the same state having a good time kikiing and playing 20 questions. So the next scene we have is like them going to like lunch for the day at this really nice place. I don't remember if it was like a restaurant or a hotel because it looked like there was a pool behind them, but it looked really nice. And so they're sitting out there. Kyle was like, let's play 20 questions. Sutton had to be tipsy or drunk because she was saying yes to everything. She was like, I think what the first question was like, would you lick somebody's toe? She licking Kyle's feet. She putting her tongue in Dorit's mouth. and Sutton is like, this is what I love. Like, we are having a good time. They were having a good time. I probably would have been giggling. You got Crystal with her phone up like this. And they're just having fun. They then start talking about, I think one of the questions was like, how is your spouse supposed to communicate online? Or like, what's inappropriate communication online? And I think they said like, liking a bunch of pictures or talking to a bunch of women online. And then she was like, her and Mo had gotten into an argument about that. And she was just like, yeah, I don't like that. She then explains in her confessional that a lot of women are aggressive and they are the ones that initiates conversations with Mauricio first. And I believe it. I believe it. Like, I know we be having our gender wars because we know men suck, but some of y'all women are horrible. Some of y'all women are just as trifling as men, will not care if the person is married or not. Y'all be sending explicit photos without asking. Y'all will be very aggressive in DMs and in text. I've seen it. I have taken one of my guy friends' phones and he was showing us this girl that was trying to talk to him. She just sending whatever just to get him to talk. I'm like, girl, have some self-respect. He not responding. Let it go. Let it go. But yeah, so she was like, Tyra was just like, I'm just surprised that some people just can be assholes like that. And then you notice how Dorit was like, no communication online. Something's up. Because you know, PK and Mauricio used to be like this. They not like that no more. So then the last question was like, would you date a girl? And then Sutton gonna be in her confessional being like, my cousin's a lesbian. It was just the way she said it. My cousin's a lesbian. And, you know, Garcelle says, you know, I've been open to it. And Kyle was like, yeah, I would. And then Garcelle was like, In her confessional, she's like, a few years ago, Kyle was like, she wasn't into that stuff. And now we hear. And she's like, maybe she thought about it because of a country song alluding to Morgan. And they leave. It was a good scene. Right, y'all. So we get this scene of Garcelle with her kids. Before I talk about that, Kyle invites all the ladies to her celebration of life that she's throwing for her friend Lorraine. And the women are all like, yes, we'll be there to support you. So they get back to their homes in California. And we get this scene of Garcelle and her boys. And what I will say is, she parenting them differently than how I was raised. Because that there was a scene where the boys were like hugged up, and I was like, no, not the boys, but the one that has his girlfriend were hugged up. I said, girl, I could never. It's not in no 15 or 16. Damn, now I couldn't do that. I would feel so awkward in front of my parents. Like, I would be like, get off me, not in front of them. But she had called and they were like on FaceTime together, and it was crazy. The other part that's crazy is like, we get this scene of the boys coming home, and I don't know if it seemed like they were either coming back from practice or like with their dad. And the boy that has the girlfriend wants his girlfriend to sleep over. That could never happen in my household. Never happened in my household. And if I was gay, that's the thing. Like, it would never happen. Because I probably would have told my parents if I was, and they would have been like, no girls are coming to this house. Just like none of them little boys is coming to this house. Especially not for no sleepover. So, and the brother had me weak. The one that seems a little bit more mature was like, unless you gonna let him sleep. He was like, if you let her come over, you gonna be a grandmother. I cackled. I said, is he lying? No, because old boy he is in love and he ready to start his life and have his family. And so Garcelle is laughing. She was like, well, now that if we're talking about this, y'all want to talk about sex? They were both like, no. And I giggled. Because I was like, first of all, nobody wants to have that conversation with their parents as adults. Like, and you definitely don't want to have that conversation where you're like 15 and 16. Like, that is such an awkward and weird conversation, because Garcelle was like, okay, tell me what y'all know about sex. And they were both like, girl, no, I'm not talking about sex with you here, not with these cameras, not ever. Let it go. But it was a cute scene. I think the funniest part about that scene, beyond the whole sex thing, was, what's his name? I think the one that has the girlfriend, he asked like when will dinner be ready? And she was like in like 10 minutes, because she was making like lasagna. He go in the fridge and make him gets milk to make him a bowl of cereal. And she was like, why are you making cereal? Like, I'm slaving over this and you making cereal. She was like, I hope you choke. And he was like, I'm hungry. And I'm like, see, boys will eat you out of a house and home. The way, especially when they hit that age, is wild, because I've seen my cousins do it. And my family doesn't have a lot of like boys in our families, but it's funny, like when it's time to eat, and we could be like, especially during Thanksgiving, we could be a couple of minutes, and like, a couple of, well, I don't know, I can't even use that, because we eat late. I don't know why we eat so late, y'all, because they start cooking the day before, and then we don't eat till like 6 or 7 o'clock. And I'm like, but you've been cooking since 8 o'clock last night. Why we not eating? Why we eating at 7? I'm fasting here. But they will go and get something to eat. It's funny to me. But I thought the scene was cute. The scene that I really want to talk about is this PK and a Dorit scene, because I thought I was gonna have a different take on it. I thought I was gonna have a different take on it. Like, I thought I was going to be on Dorit's side based off of the preview, but like after seeing the scene in its entirety, I'm actually more so on PK's side. So Dorit and PK, we know, are having like some issues. They call over a therapist. The therapist comes and they sit down and they're having their conversation, and they're sitting, and Dorit is saying that she pretty much doesn't feel supported by PK, especially like with her whole PTSD thing. PK is feeling like he doesn't really understand PTSD, but he wants to understand it. But anytime he asks a question, he's kind of met with like irritation. And he was like, how much of this is your PTSD versus you just being high maintenance? And they show like when she was freaking out about the anniversary, and then the therapist was like, it also is the time, like he was telling the therapist, it's also the timing. Like when he did that Pretty Woman thing for him, not for him, but for Dorit, and she brought up like, I don't need the surprises. I just need she was pretty much chastising him. And he said, I'm not going to do surprises for you ever again. Like, I think this is going to be our last surprise. And the therapist even told Dorit, I think what he's saying is he did that out of kindness to show you how much he cares. And he was just saying the timing of your critique of the whole situation was off. And I was like, yeah, I can see that too. Like, he did something that he thought was special that you would like, and you immediately cut him down. Yeah, that would make somebody be like, I don't want to do those types of things for you ever again. I also like how the therapist was like, you can't really keep getting angry at him when he asks his questions about your PTSD, girl. I feel like I got where he was coming from. And he also was like, Dorit don't know how to admit when she's wrong. And we see that. He was like, he was like, in a marriage, we both should be making each other happy. Both. And he was emphasis on both. And he was like, it just shouldn't be one-sided. But he was like, you also got to admit when you're wrong. And Dorit struggles with that. And it's clear that Dorit struggles with that. And the thing is, like, I don't think Dorit is lying about her anxiety or anything of that nature. I have anxiety, but my anxiety is weird, because some days I could be cool, like, and I'm good. The next thing you know, I wake up and I'm anxious, and I don't know why, and it's irritating. But I did enjoy the way the doctor explained it, where she was like, to have anxiety or PTSD is to always be on guard or always to think of like what's next. And that is how it is at times. But I was just kind of surprised that I was on PK's side. Cause I was just like, cause PK sometimes rubs me the wrong way, but I was just surprised because I was just kind of like, he's making valid points, Dorit. Like, how much of this is your PTSD, or you just being high maintenance or a control freak? I think that's what it is. It's either being a control freak or you're anxious, and sometimes anxiety can show up in the form of being controlling because you feel as though if you have control of everything, then you can manage your anxiety. So the last scene we have is what's it called? The celebration of life for Lorraine. And it is hosted, dang, I wish I wrote down the name. I don't think I did. Crap, y'all. It was hosted by a foundation that is about suicide prevention. And we see Morgan is there. She's going to perform. Morgan and Kyle was given very much like secret lovers. And the thing about it is like, at first I didn't think that, but now I'm kind of feeling like maybe, I don't know. I do feel like Morgan is like riding the wave of being with Kyle, because someone just posted like pictures of Kyle on her birthday. I think her birthday was yesterday. Shout out to her. Capricorns, January unite. And she was there with them she was celebrating with them. So I was like, I do feel like she's riding that wave of having Kyle, like, be around Kyle. And I'm not hating on that, girl. Get what you can get. If you're not dating a lady, get what you can get. Or if you are, get what you can get. Because there's a part of me that feels like Kyle and Mauricio are not going to get a divorce. Like, I'm going to be really surprised if they get a divorce. It's giving very much like we are just committed to, like, we're going to stay married and still, like, live our lives until we possibly may find our way back to each other. Because I feel like if they really wanted to divorce each other, they both have enough money. And I mean, sometimes it does take longer when you have that much money to divide assets. But I feel like they both have enough pool where they could probably divorce amicably and move on with their lives. But the fact that anytime you ask them like where they are with their marriage, they say they're still working on it. It's giving they're both just having their fun. Honestly, it's giving both of them are having midlife crises at the same time. And they just trying to work through it. Because a midlife crisis, people be going through quarter crisis. you know? I just feel like it's so much happening in their lives right now that I really do feel like they're not going to get a divorce. Like, I feel like it's a lot going on and eventually they just going to go back together. I really feel like that's mine. Like, I really be like, if they do get a divorce, like, you know, I'm not going to be like, oh no, like, I don't believe people should stay together just because, like, if y'all don't want to be together, chuck the deuces and part ways. But it is giving very much so y'all probably will get back together soon. Well, not soon, but eventually. But we can tell they really don't. They were really in a bad place right now, because I saw the preview for next episode, and she's kind of irritated with Mauricio because he didn't come to Lorraine's celebration of life. But we did see her daughters there, and we saw Lorraine's daughters and stuff like that. So, yeah, they seem to not be good. But Morgan was there. Everyone's kind of looking at Kyle and Morgan like, okay. Kyle is telling everyone, you know, I tattooed her. Like, okay, Kyle. I think Kyle gave a really nice speech. A really beautiful speech. She's struggling because, you know, 2 days before, unfortunately, Lorraine took her life, she told Kyle, don't take your marriage for granted. Or, like, either don't take your marriage for granted or cherish your marriage. And then, you know, it happened. And she was like, she feels like she's letting her down. And I don't know, maybe Lorraine was just like, she saw the love that Mauricio and Kyle have for each other. And saw how important Mauricio is to Kyle. That maybe that's what she meant. I don't know. But that's hard That's hard. You've been friends with someone that I really do believe Lorraine was probably Kyle's true sister. Like they came together when they were 7 in second grade. They had kids together, around the same age. They really lived their lives together. And that probably was her like true blue sister. And this probably is not probably this is a hard thing to go through, to lose someone like that unexpectedly, and then to think like you couldn't save them, because that's the thing. That when people do these types of things, it shakes you. It do. Because we talked to Sutton, and you know how Sutton's father, he passed away. Well, he took his life when he was 62, Sutton said. And she's telling this to Dorit, and she was just like, yeah, my family didn't talk about it. I said, that probably made it worse. Like, not talking about it, not process, like just acting like, okay, it happened and moving on. And she was like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, she had me tearing up in the confessional when she was talking about like, I wish she could have met my kids. When she said that, I really was like, dang. Like, and she probably was like, and then she was like, I know he would have been proud of them. Or like, and she said, no, I learned to say, I know he is proud of them because they're always with you. But I was just like, dang. Like, well, I don't know if he hasn't met, he didn't get a chance to meet them, but he doesn't know them now. And I was like, that sucks. That really sucks. But while Sutton is talking to Dorit, you got Crystal bringing up the whole small esophagus thing. Dorit is asking her, not Dorit, Garcelle is asking her, like, girl, why do you care? Was it Crystal? My bad. Did I say Crystal? I mean Annemarie. Annemarie was talking to Garcelle and Crystal. And Annemarie was like, it's just really bothering me. I looked at my medical books. I talked to my colleagues. And a lot of them are just like, it's not making sense. And Garcelle was like, why do you care? And she was like, well, I'm just like, it's just not making sense. And then she says something like, she was like, well, maybe she had an eating disorder. And you know how Crystal feel when you bring up eating disorder. And she was like, so you saying the girl had an eating disorder? And then Annemarie was like, no, you said it. I didn't say it. I was like, you did say she had you just said you thought the girl may have had an eating disorder. And like Crystal Clark, you gaslighting, lady. Like, what, Annemarie, shut up. So then Garcelle gets up and she goes and talks to, what's it called? She goes and talks to Sutton and tells her, girl, like, Annemarie got, like, she got her name, and she talking about your small esophagus again, girl. And Sutton gets so mad because she was like, do you know where we at? Do she know my daddy committed? You know what? Like, she need to leave me alone. I said, ooh. I said, Annemarie need to tread lightly. Like, we are at an important event. Don't be messy. Don't be messy, girl. Don't be messy. Like, don't be messy. But yeah, Annemarie is like, it's not making sense. Like, why are you harping on this? Like, let it go. Like, lady, let it go. Yeah, just let it go. But that's how the episode ended. Or if it didn't end that way, that's what was important to me. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in them comments below. Deuces.